them were ready for marriage. Darla, because she was so naive. She had her own reasons. When they'd finished unpacking and gathering all the newspaper, Mom placed the punch bowl set inside a cabinet under the counter near the sink. Just until I can figure out what to do with it. Darla still hadn't said a word. From experience, Amanda knew she probably wouldn't talk to her for a while. But that wouldn't last long. Darla didn't hold grudges. "I'll be out in the garden," she told Mom as Darla left the kitchen without comment. "But I'll be back to help make supper." When Amanda stepped onto the back porch wearing a light jacket, the warmer late March sunshine hit her face, lifting her mood. Just not as much as she'd hoped it would. She cared about her sister, but it was exhausting to keep her from making impulsive and sometimes not so bright decisions. She'd been doing that for most of her life. Just last week, when they were both working at their jobs as waitresses at Yoder's Pantry, a local diner, a male customer asked Darla several personal questions. She answered every one of them, and that was bad enough. But then, when Amanda heard him asking when her shift ended, she had no choice but to intervene. It made no difference that the man was Amish. He might have been from another nearby district, but they still didn't know him. Not all Amish men were trustworthy. "You can't tell men you don't know when you'll get off work," she whispered as she yanked Darla away from the man's table. "Not even an Amish man." "Why not? He's nice. He even gave me a big tip." Amanda shook her head at the memory, grateful she'd managed to stop Darla from answering the question. She might have gone so far as to give him their home address. She sighed, even though Amanda was younger by 10 minutes. She'd felt like the older sister for as long as she could remember. Her parents had even encouraged that role. Darla's birth had been difficult, and for a few hours they feared they could lose their first twin. Amanda was sure that had to be part of their ongoing concern for her. But then when Darla never outgrew her naivete and impulsive nature, now her sister wanted to run off to a strange community to find a husband. That was by far the most reckless move she'd ever suggested in her ill-advised quest for male companionship. Their own area, Holmes County, had plenty of suitable single men for Darla when the family thought she was ready. Men who weren't so desperate they'd placed an ad for women looking for marriage. Besides, Birch Creek was almost a 2-hour bus ride from Walnut Creek, the community where she and her twin, their parents' only children, had lived all their lives. Amanda shook her head in frustration as she made her way to the back of her family's small plot of land, where she planted a garden every spring. Her father owned a local lumber yard with his cousin, and while their business competed with larger lumber yards in the area, their family lived comfortably, and with only the 4 of them, they didn't have to care for a farm on the side. They were fine with a modest house, a small barn for their horse and buggy, a chicken coop, and not much land. She was grateful the property still had room for a garden, though. She knelt on the newly thawed ground and pulled out a few weeds already springing up. Neither of her parents enjoyed gardening. They considered it just another chore, necessary to carry on the Amish tradition of fresh, homegrown food on the table and canning for winter. Darla felt the same way, but Amanda loved being outdoors, digging her fingers in the dirt, breathing in the earthy scent of rich soil, surrounded by vibrantly colored flowers and fresh, appetizing vegetables. After planting in a week or so, she'd spend all her free time here. A sigh escaped as her thoughts returned to the diner. She didn't particularly like waitressing, but Darla enjoyed interacting with the customers and other employees, who were both Amish and English. The owners were English as well. It was okay to be friendly. She even admired Darla for that. She just wished her sister would be more careful and less trusting when it came to men. Why should she worry, though? Darla would never take off for Birch Creek. Their parents wouldn't allow it, for one thing. And for another, her twin wouldn't go there without her. And I'm not leaving. Life isn't perfect in Walnut Creek, but this is my home. And this is where I'll stay, married or not. And right now that was a very big not. She had no intention of marrying. If Darla brought up marching off to Birch Creek again, she'd convince her the idea was absurd. What kind of men would pursue, what did Mom call them? Mail-order brides. Only men with something really wrong with them. One thing was for sure. She didn't want to find out what that was. "Do you think you can break him?" Zeb Bontrager gave his twin brother Zeke a hard look. "Sure,"